The wind outside the apartment windows of Riverford City whispered softly against the glass. It was early morning, just past 6:10 a.m., and the city was slowly waking up. Cars rolled across the wet streets. The sky glowed with a faint pink light, and inside a small, quiet apartment on Willow Road, a man stood alone in the kitchen, staring at his reflection on the dark surface of his coffee. His name was Daniel Reyes, 39 years old, an office worker who spent most days typing reports for a logistics company. He lived a simple life: work, home, sleep, repeat. But inside his chest lived a heavy truth, one he tried to hide for years. He wanted to speak English, to really speak it, clearly, confidently, like someone who owned their voice. He had watched hundreds of English videos. He studied grammar books. He downloaded apps. He bought courses. He even tried joining expensive online classes. But every time he tried to speak, his voice trembled. His tongue froze. His lips refused to move. His mind shut down. At work, when foreign clients visited the office, he avoided eye contact. In meetings, he stayed silent. At home, he whispered English sentences to himself when no one could hear. He was not stupid. He was not weak. He was simply silent. And silence had become his prison. But today, this early morning on this ordinary Thursday, something inside him shifted. It started as a small spark. A thought. A whisper. A feeling. He lifted his head from the coffee cup, walked to the mirror beside the kitchen door, and stared at his reflection. His face looked tired. His dark hair was messy. His eyes carried years of frustration and fear. He spoke softly. Today, something must change. The moment those words left his mouth, he felt it, a sudden, powerful decision that shook his entire body. No more running from English. No more hiding behind silence. No more fear of speaking. Today would be the beginning of his transformation. But here's the secret Daniel didn't know yet. One truth that almost no English learner is ever told. Your mouth must be trained, not just your mind. And this truth, this simple, powerful truth, was about to change Daniel's life forever. Clapper bored the shocking truth nobody told Daniel. Imagine this scene. Daniel sat on the edge of his small gray sofa. Morning light touched his face. The room was quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. He picked up his phone and opened a video from a channel he recently discovered. English Learning Stories. The narrator's voice was calm, deep, and powerful. And these were the first words Daniel heard. You have trained your brain, but you have not trained your mouth. Daniel's eyes widened. It felt like someone had pressed a hand against his chest. The voice continued. You watched videos. You listened silently. You studied grammar. But speaking is physical. English is physical. Your tongue, lips, jaw. They must learn to move in a new way. Daniel leaned closer. His heart beat faster. Because this was the part no teacher ever told him. Performing art's the mirror of truth. Daniel stood in front of his bathroom mirror. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. His breath felt trapped in his throat as he remembered the narrator's next words. Look at yourself. Your fear is not English. Your fear is your own voice. He inhaled slowly. He felt ridiculous. Who trains their mouth? Who warms up their lips? Who stretches their tongue? Apparently, people who become fluent. So Daniel began. Lip rolls. He pressed his lips together and buzzed. B-a-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra. It sounded strange. He almost laughed. But he continued. Tongue stretch. He stuck his tongue out, then pulled it back in. Out in, out in. 10 times. He felt muscles moving that he never noticed before. Jaw loosening. He opened his mouth wide, then relaxed it. 5 slow repetitions. Smile stretch. He stretched his smile as wide as he could for 5 seconds. Held it. Released it. By the end, his face felt warm, alive, active. It was the first time in years his mouth didn't feel stiff. Studio, the sentence that changed everything. Then came the hardest part. The mirror technique. Daniel took a deep breath and looked straight into his own eyes. He chose a simple sentence from the video. "This is my voice, I will use it." He said it slowly. His lips hesitated. His tongue felt heavy. His voice cracked a little. He felt a tense, strange feeling, like his heart was pushing against a locked door. He tried again. "This is my voice. I will use it." This time he felt something different, like the words were traveling not only from his mouth, but from deep inside his chest. He repeated it 5 times, each time slightly faster, each time slightly stronger, each time slightly braver. On the 5th repetition, something clicked inside him. He no longer felt like a scared learner. He felt like a man reclaiming his identity. Fire the fire inside him. He remembered moments from his past. The meeting where he stayed silent when a foreign manager asked him a question. The interview he lost because he couldn't speak naturally. The conference call where he pretended his microphone was broken. The trip he canceled because he feared asking for directions abroad. Each memory was like a stone he carried for years. Heavy, painful, silent. And in that moment, that small, quiet, private moment, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Real hope. The kind that makes your chest warm. The kind that wakes you up. The kind that says, your life can change. Headphone the shadow training BGNS. After the mirror practice, Daniel sat at his dining table. The sun had risen. Birds outside chirped loudly. Cars rushed through Riverford City. He opened the next part of the video. Shadow speaking. He chose a short audio clip from a motivational speech. "You are stronger than your fear." He played it once, then repeated. "You are stronger than your fear." Again, and again, and again. At first he sounded slow, then a little smoother, then faster, then almost exactly like the speaker. His tongue moved easier. His lips followed the rhythm. His voice grew steadier. He felt like a musician learning a new instrument, a dancer learning a new step, a boxer learning new footwork. His mouth was waking up. Hourglass not done the 5-minute training routine, BGNS. Daniel followed the narrator's instructions. 1-minute warm-up. 1-minute mirror technique. 2 minutes shadow speaking. 1-minute fluency loop. Just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes felt powerful. Like a storm inside him was starting to change direction. For years, he believed fluency was impossible. That he was too old, too busy, too shy, too late. But now he knew the truth. His mouth was not broken. It was untrained. And anything untrained could be trained. Speaker high volume the fluency loop. Daniel chose his first sentence. "I'm going to change my English." He said it slowly, then normally, then fast, slow, normal, fast, slow, normal, fast. He repeated the loop until the sentence no longer felt difficult. And for the first time in many years, Daniel felt something inside him shift. It was not magic, not talent, not intelligence. It was muscle memory. It was practice. It was commitment. Sunrise the morning that started a new life. The clock read 6:25 a.m. 15 minutes had passed. Daniel stood by the window, watching the world move outside. The sun was rising fully now, casting golden light over the buildings, the streets, the lives of thousands of people. He felt different, lighter, stronger, more alive. And with a soft, steady voice, he whispered, "I'm not staying silent anymore." He didn't know it yet, but this morning would become the turning point of his entire English journey. A month from now, he would sound like a different person. A year from now, he would look back at this morning and say, "That was the day everything changed." But for now, he just breathed deeply and felt proud of himself. This was no longer just about English. This was about reclaiming his voice. This was about becoming the person he always wanted to be. This was the beginning of his fluency story. A story that would not be written on paper, but spoken out loud, with confidence, with courage, with power. And the journey had only just begun. The morning felt different, alive, electric, full of possibility. But life, as always, had plans for Daniel Reyes. At 8:42 a.m., the elevator of the Riverford Logistics building hummed softly as it rose to the 6th floor. Daniel stood inside, holding his office ID card in one hand and a small notebook in the other. His mind was strangely calm. He had done his first English training. He had spoken to himself in the mirror. He had felt his voice unlock, even just a little. But now, he was stepping back into the real world. And the real world never cared about your preparation. The real world tested you when you least expected it. The elevator doors opened with a gentle ding. Daniel stepped out. The office was already busy, phones ringing, keyboards clicking, employees walking from desk to desk carrying files and documents. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. But Daniel felt different. He felt like someone who was quietly carrying a fire inside him. Fogg, the gatekeeper of the 6th floor. "Morning, Daniel." A cheerful voice called from the right. It was Sophia, the receptionist, short, energetic, always smiling. She waved at him from behind the wooden desk. Daniel managed a small smile. "Good morning." His voice sounded steadier than usual. He noticed that immediately. Sophia didn't notice anything special. She was busy sorting envelopes, but Daniel felt it. A small, powerful victory. He walked past her and turned left toward the open office area. That's when it happened. The thing he feared. The thing he prayed would not happen today. The thing he tried to avoid for years. Enveloped the email that brought the storm. His computer was still booting when a notification popped up. New message. From Marcus Lynn, Senior Manager. Subject: Client Presentation Urgent. Daniel clicked it. As he read the message, his heart began to squeeze inside his chest. The words punched him one by one. "Daniel, our international clients from Singapore will join the meeting today at 11:00 a.m. I want you to share the delivery update with them. Please be ready to speak in English." Marcus. Daniel froze. The room felt colder. His breathing became shallow. His palms began to sweat. "Speak in English. Today. In front of foreign clients. In less than 3 hours." His mind felt like a storm was rising inside it. He could almost hear the thunder. "I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What if I freeze? What if I make mistakes? What if they can't understand me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I fail? The tiny fire he carried from the morning started to tremble, almost fade. But something saved him. Not courage, not confidence, not skill. A memory. The voice from the morning video. Your fear is not English. Your fear is your own voice. The words returned like a shield. His breath slowly calmed. His hands stopped shaking. And then, almost without thinking, Daniel whispered to himself, "This is my chance." 9 o'clock, the 3 hours of destiny. He checked the time. 8:52 a.m. The meeting was at 11:00. He had 2 hours and 8 minutes. Some would panic. Some would run. Some would hide. Daniel did not. He closed his eyes. He inhaled deeply. He placed his hands flat on his desk. And he made a decision. I will train now. Right here. Right at my desk. The office buzzed around him. Phones rang. Printers beeped. People chatted. But Daniel felt like he was inside a different world. A silent world inside his mind. Briefcase, the silent training session. He opened his notebook. On the top of the page he wrote, "Emergency English practice." Then he started. 1. The mirror technique, without a mirror. He looked at his computer's black screen. His own faint reflection staring back at him. He whispered, "I can do this. This is my voice. I will speak today." Slowly, softly, firmly. He repeated the sentences until his voice no longer trembled. 2. Shadow training, 90 seconds. He played a short motivational clip through his earphones. He repeated every word quietly. The rhythm steadied his breath. The words warmed his mouth. The speed trained his tongue. He felt his muscles activate, the same way they did in the morning. 3. Fluency loop, the real sentences. He wrote down the sentences he needed for the meeting. The deliveries are on schedule. Your shipment will arrive next week. We solved the warehouse delay. The new route is faster. Thank you for your patience. He practiced them. Slow, normal, vast, slow, normal, vast, slow, normal, vast. Each repetition felt like a hammer striking metal. Shaping, molding, strengthening. People walked by him. Phones kept ringing. Life continued normally. But Daniel was fighting a silent battle. A battle no one saw. A battle many lose. A battle he refused to lose today. Fire, the unexpected message. At 10:15 a.m., as Daniel was reviewing his notes, his phone vibrated. A message from Marcus. "Daniel, please meet me in the small conference room at 10:30. We need to review the talking points before the client call." Daniel swallowed hard. This was it. The warm-up before the real battlefield. He stood up, straightened his shirt, and walked toward the glass-walled conference room. His heart pounded with every step. His mouth felt dry. But behind the fear, behind the anxiety, something else was growing. Something new. Confidence. Not full confidence, but the beginning of it. A seed. The room of truth. Marcus was already inside, tall, serious, always precise, checking slides on the laptop. He looked up. "Ah, Daniel, good. We need to go over the delivery update before the clients join." Daniel nodded. Marcus tilted his head. "You look calm today." Daniel was surprised by the comment. Calm. Him. Now. But then he realized. He was calmer than usual. He took a seat. Marcus started the test. So Daniel, how would you explain the delay in Warehouse 3? Daniel inhaled and spoke. Slow, clear, measured. Warehouse 3 had a staffing issue last week. But the problem is solved now. The team is working at full speed again. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Good, clean, keep it that way. Next question. And what about the new route? Daniel answered. The new route reduces travel time by 2 days. It is already working well. Marcus nodded. He seemed impressed. Daniel could feel his pulse thumping in his neck. He was doing it. He was speaking. He was clear. Not perfect. Not advanced. But functional. Understandable. Professional. This was new. This was big. For him, this was huge. 11 o'clock the meeting begins. At 11:00 a.m., the conference room screen lit up. The client call started. 3 faces appeared on the screen from Singapore. Good morning, everyone, one of them said. Marcus greeted them. Then, like a spotlight turning on, he said, Daniel will share the delivery update. Time stopped. Daniel felt the world go silent. He could hear only his breathing, only his heartbeat, only his thoughts. But inside that silence, something opened inside him. The memory of the morning, the practice at his desk, the fluency loops, the mirror technique, the shadow speaking. And then, his voice came. Microphone, the moment that changed everything. Good morning, Daniel began. His voice was slightly tight, but clear. He continued. The deliveries are on schedule. Your main shipment will arrive next week. We solved the issue in Warehouse 3. The new route reduces travel time by 2 days. Thank you for your patience. Then he stopped. Silence. A second passed. 2 seconds. 3. Then the client smiled. Thank you, Daniel. Your explanation is very clear. Very clear. Very clear. Daniel felt something explode inside his chest. A mix of shock, relief, pride, and disbelief. Marcus nodded approvingly. You did well, he whispered. And at that moment, inside that small conference room, something inside Daniel Ray's changed forever. He didn't become fluent in one day, but he became brave. He became active. He became awake. He had spoken English in a real meeting, to real clients, with real pressure. And he didn't break. He didn't freeze. He didn't fail. He succeeded. Even if it was small. Even if it was simple. Even if it wasn't perfect. It was the moment that marked the beginning of his transformation. Sunset, the night of realization. When he reached home that evening, the city lights glowed like small stars below the dark sky. Daniel sat on his sofa again, just like he did in the morning. But this time, he felt like a different man. He picked up his phone, opened the English Learning Stories channel, and whispered, Thank you. He wasn't thanking the channel. He wasn't thanking the narrator. He was thanking himself. For trying. For speaking. For choosing courage over silence. For choosing to rise. For choosing to fight. And with a soft, proud smile, he said, Today I won. He didn't know what challenges would come next. He didn't know how many battles he would face. But he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The real journey was waiting. And he was ready. That night, Riverford City slept under a blanket of soft moonlight. Cars slowed. Shops closed. Windows glowed like quiet lanterns in tall buildings. But Daniel Reyes couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Thinking. Today had changed him. He had spoken English at work. He had presented to real clients. He had been understood. He had been respected. But victory does not erase fear. Victory only reveals the next battle. And deep inside him, something darker was beginning to wake. Something he didn't expect. Something more dangerous than grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. Self-doubt. New moon, the whisper in the dark. At 1:13 a.m., Daniel finally closed his eyes. But in the quiet darkness of his room, a voice inside him whispered, "You were lucky today. You don't deserve this win. You will fail next time. You will embarrass yourself. You're still not good enough." These thoughts were not new. They were old ghosts, silent companions who followed him for years. But tonight, after a victory, the ghosts felt even louder. Daniel turned on his side. His chest felt heavy. His mind felt tight. What if today was just a lucky accident? What if I freeze next time? What if people expect too much from me now? What if I can't do it again? The enemy had returned. Not from outside, but from within. Hot beverage the morning after confidence. The next morning, Daniel woke up tired. His eyes were dull. His voice felt small again. He stood in the kitchen, holding a warm cup of coffee. Steam rose from the mug in gentle swirls. He should have felt proud about yesterday. But instead he felt nervous, almost afraid. Yesterday was power. Today was pressure. He remembered the clients' smiling faces. He remembered Marcus saying, "Good job." He remembered the surprise in the room. And suddenly, he felt something terrible. Expectation. People now saw him differently. He had raised the bar. He had shown he could speak. What if he failed next time? What if he disappointed everyone? What if yesterday was his limit? He closed his eyes and whispered, "Why do I feel scared after winning?" Then he opened his phone. And almost as if the universe was listening, YouTube recommended a new video from the same channel. The fear after success, why you still feel not good enough. Daniel pressed play. Headphone the harsh truth he needed to hear. The narrator's voice was calm, warm, powerful. After you win once, your brain does not celebrate. Your brain becomes afraid. Daniel froze. He felt like the words were talking directly to him. Your brain tells you, "Don't try again. Don't take risks. Don't speak again. Because next time you might fail." Daniel breathed deeply. The voice continued, "But listen to me. A single win does not make you fluent. A single win makes you brave." The words hit him. Brave. Not fluent. Brave. Don't protect your win. Repeat it. Repeat it again and again. Until speaking becomes normal. Daniel sat down slowly. The tension in his chest began to loosen. You are not afraid of English. You are afraid of losing the version of yourself that won yesterday. His shoulders relaxed. His eyes softened. And for the first time since waking up, he felt something warm inside his chest. Understanding. The mirror RETORNS. He walked to the bathroom, turned on the light, faced the mirror. His reflection looked tired, but not weak. He placed both hands on the sink, looked into his own eyes. Yesterday's confidence was gone. But that didn't matter. Because this time, he wasn't trying to be confident. He was trying to be consistent. He whispered, "I won once. I can win again." He repeated it. 4 times. 5 times. 10 times. With every repetition, he felt his voice growing stronger again. Not emotional strength. Not magical strength. Physical strength. His mouth was warming up. His tongue was loosening. His jaw was relaxing. The muscles remembered. The fear didn't disappear, but it stopped controlling him. Performing arts, the shadow practice that changed his morning. He opened the same motivational clip from yesterday. This time he didn't feel nervous. He felt determined. He shadowed the speaker. "You are stronger than your fear. You are learning every day. You are becoming fluent. You are not the old you anymore." He repeated sentence after sentence, his voice gradually matching the tone, the speed, the rhythm. He wasn't fighting fear. He was training through it. The fear was still there, but he was louder. And for the first time that morning, he felt proud. He had overcome the voice in the dark. He had defeated the enemy inside. Spiral, the day of surprises. When Daniel arrived at work, something unexpected happened. People were looking at him, not with judgment, not with confusion, but with curiosity. "Hey, Daniel. Nice job yesterday. You sounded really confident in the meeting." That was impressive. Compliments. Real compliments. And instead of feeling scared, something strange happened. He felt motivated. Each praise felt like a small light, turning on in his heart. Even Sophia at the reception smiled bigger than before. "You were awesome yesterday. I knew you had it in you." Daniel laughed softly. "Thank you, Sophia." His voice sounded normal. Not tight. Not shaky. Normal. And that was a victory. Telephone receiver, the call that tested his courage. Around 11:40 a.m. As Daniel was working on an Excel report, his phone rang. He answered automatically. "Hello, this is Daniel." A woman replied with a calm, professional voice. "Hello, Daniel. This is Ms. Tan from the Singapore office. I have a quick question about yesterday's delivery update." Daniel's breath caught. Another English conversation. Right now. Unexpected. Before fear could rise. He remembered the morning practice. He straightened his back. Exhaled slowly. Relaxed his shoulders. "I can help," he said. His voice was steady. Ms. Tan continued. "Are the documents for the new route ready?" Daniel spoke slowly, clearly. "Yes, we prepared them yesterday. I can send them to you now." "Oh, perfect. Thank you, Daniel." And the call ended. Only 43 seconds. But it felt like a huge moment. He had handled a real English call. Alone. Without preparation. Without fear controlling him. Fire the confidence loop. His hands trembled slightly from the adrenaline. But he smiled. He whispered to himself, "See, you can do this." He opened his notebook and wrote 3 sentences. Heavy check mark, I spoke English again today. Heavy check mark, I didn't panic. Heavy check mark, I am improving. For the first time ever, Daniel felt something powerful. Consistency. Not luck. Not chance. Not accident. Consistency. The repetition was working. The practice was building him day by day. Each moment was adding to something bigger. He was no longer chasing a dream. He was building a skill. Son, the lunch break revelation. During lunch, Daniel sat alone by the window, eating rice and vegetables from the company cafeteria. The sun warmed his face. People laughed at nearby tables. The world felt light. He thought about everything. Yesterday's fear. Yesterday's win. Today's fear. Today's win. And then he realized something huge. Unbelievably huge. He didn't need confidence to speak English. He needed routine. Routine builds confidence. Confidence does not appear by magic. Speaking builds confidence. Confidence does not appear before speaking. He laughed quietly to himself. It was so simple. So simple. Yet no teacher. No class. No book. No app ever told him this. Memo: the rule that changes everything. When he finished eating, he wrote a sentence in his notebook. Fluency is not talent. Fluency is training. He circled it, underlined it, starred it, because this sentence was no longer a theory. It was his life. Crescent moon, the night of new energy. When he returned home that evening, he didn't collapse on the sofa like usual. He didn't waste time on random YouTube videos. He didn't hide under blankets. He walked straight to the mirror, looked at himself, and said, "Today I won again." He began another 5-minute session. Lip rolls, tongue stretch, shadow speaking, fluency loops. His mouth moved easily today, as if the training was becoming natural. His voice sounded more stable, as if speaking English was becoming normal. And his fear was quieter, as if his inner enemy was losing power. He stared at his reflection and saw something he never saw before. A man becoming fluent, a man transforming, a man rising, slowly, silently, consistently. And that night, as he went to sleep, the ghosts inside his mind did not whisper. They didn't dare, because Daniel Reyes was no longer fighting English. The sun rose slowly over Riverford City, casting a golden glow over the tall glass buildings. The streets were filled with honking cars, footsteps, and voices. Life moved fast, faster than anyone expected. And Daniel Reyes felt it too. He had victories. He had learned that fear could be faced. But life had another lesson waiting. Hourglass, not done, the clock that never stops. Daniel checked the office clock. 7:59 a.m. The first meeting was at 8:15 a.m., and the client call from Japan was scheduled at 10:30 a.m. Emails were already flooding his inbox. Documents were waiting to be revised. Colleagues were asking questions. Time, his constant enemy, was already winning. He took a deep breath. Focus, one thing at a time. He had learned a secret. Time does not wait for the perfect moment. Fluency does not wait for confidence. You train in the middle of chaos. You speak in the middle of fear. You act while the clock is moving. Person running the morning dash. Daniel moved quickly but calmly. He prepared the presentation slides. He double-checked the Excel sheets. He rehearsed sentences quietly under his breath. The shipment will be delivered on Tuesday. We have optimized the route to reduce delays. Thank you for your understanding. Every word, every sentence, every syllable was practiced like a soldier rehearsing for battle. His mouth, jaw, and tongue had been trained. Now his brain needed to catch up. Telephone receiver, the first enemy, the Japanese client call. At 10:30 a.m. the call began. 3 faces appeared on the screen from Tokyo. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. He remembered yesterday's lesson. Fear is normal, movement is power. Good morning, Daniel began. His voice was softer than usual, but steady. The client asked detailed questions about the shipments. Daniel answered, "Yes, the inventory has been checked. Yes, the documents are ready. Yes, the team is monitoring the shipment in real time." The client nodded, smiled, and thanked him. Daniel exhaled slowly. First battle won. But now he knew there would be more battles today, and the clock would keep ticking. Card the emails that attacked. After the call, Daniel returned to his desk. The inbox had multiplied overnight. He had 25 unread emails. Most were urgent. He began responding one by one. Each email required precise English. Each sentence had to be polite, clear, and professional. And with every email, he whispered softly, "One step at a time, focus on the words, not the fear." He realized something important. English is not a subject to study. English is a tool to use, even when time is short, even when stress is high, even when fear knocks at your door. Light bulb, the lesson of consistency. By lunch, Daniel noticed a pattern. Every time he trained, 5 minutes, 10 minutes mirror practice, shadow speaking. He became faster. He became clearer. He became more confident. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was consistency. He wrote a note in his notebook. Small daily practice beats huge, irregular effort. He smiled. It was simple, yet he had ignored it for years. Teacup without handle, the lunch break moment of clarity. Sitting by the window in the cafeteria, Daniel reflected on his progress. He realized something shocking. For years, he had been waiting for the right time to speak. For years, he had been afraid of mistakes, afraid of judgment, afraid of failure. But today, he learned the truth. There is no right time. The right time is now. He repeated the sentence quietly. The right time is now. The right time is now. He felt a surge of energy. It was like a small fire growing inside him. A fire that could not be stopped by fear, deadlines, or tiredness. Jigsaw, the afternoon challenge. The afternoon brought the biggest challenge yet. Marcus approached him. "Daniel, the CEO wants a quick update about the warehouse operations in English. Can you handle this?" Daniel froze for a second. The CEO. English. Pressure. But he remembered. Fear is normal. Movement is power. Training beats hesitation. He nodded. "I will do it." Microphone speaking to the CEO. The CEO's office was intimidating. Tall glass walls. A leather chair that seemed to swallow the person sitting in it. The CEO looked at him with a calm, serious gaze. Daniel's mouth felt dry. His hands slightly shook. But he closed his eyes for a second. Remembered the mirror technique. The shadow speaking. The fluency loops. Then he spoke. "The warehouse team is operating at full capacity. The new route reduces delays by 2 days. All shipments are on track, and no further issues are expected." The CEO listened carefully, then smiled. "Good, that's clear, Daniel." He had done it. He had spoken fluently. In front of the CEO. Under pressure. His heart raced. But he knew something had shifted inside him. Trophy, the evening reflection. When Daniel returned home, he felt exhausted but alive. He poured himself a glass of water and sat by the window. The city lights twinkled like tiny stars. He opened his notebook. Consistency beats fear. Repetition builds fluency. Fear is part of the journey. He smiled. He had learned the most important lesson. English fluency is not about being perfect. It's about showing up. Every day. Even when tired. Even when afraid. Even when the clock is against you. Milky Way the night before the next challenge. That night, Daniel practiced again. Mirror technique. Shadow speaking. Fluency loops. Sound clusters. Recording himself. Each repetition made him stronger. Each repetition silenced the inner enemy a little more. Each repetition reminded him. Fluency is earned, not given. And when he lay in bed that night, for the first time, he didn't fear tomorrow. He didn't fear the clients, the emails, the boss. He didn't fear the clock. He didn't fear his own voice. He had learned the truth. The battle is not with English. The battle is with yourself. And you win one step at a time. The city woke with the sound of alarms, honking, and life moving too fast. But Daniel Reyes woke differently today. Today, he felt a subtle tension in his chest. Yesterday had been a victory. The Japanese call, the CEO briefing, the emails, he had handled all of it. But he knew deep inside. Fear is patient, it waits. And today it would return. Fog the morning dread. He woke at 6:30 a.m. Sunlight spilled softly across the bedroom floor. Birds chirped. Neighbors stirred. Coffee brewed somewhere nearby. Daniel rubbed his eyes. And for a moment he felt unsure. Will I really be able to speak today? Will I freeze again in front of the team? Was yesterday just luck? He sat on the edge of the bed, hands clasped, and whispered softly, "It's okay to feel scared. I will still try." He had learned something important. Fear itself was not the enemy. Fear was a signal, a sign that he was growing. The walk to work. Riverford city streets were crowded as usual. People hurried. Cars honked. Street vendors sold breakfast sandwiches. Daniel walked with a coffee cup in hand and practiced the sentences he would need today. We have completed the task on schedule. Please review the document and provide feedback. I can clarify any doubts you may have. He repeated them softly, almost like a song. Each repetition strengthened his mouth muscles. Each repetition trained his mind. Each repetition built courage. And then something unexpected happened. He noticed the rhythm of the city, the flow of movement, the way people's voices blended like music. English, he realized, was not just words. It was sound, rhythm, and motion. Office building, the first test of the day. By 9:15 a.m., Daniel was at his desk. The project manager, Lucas, approached him. "Daniel, we need an update for the London office. They're waiting for a report. Can you do a quick video call?" Daniel's heart raced. London office. In English. Now. But he smiled and whispered under his breath, "I've done this before. I can do it again." Microphone the video call. The London team appeared on his laptop screen. 5 faces. Serious, professional, expecting clarity. Daniel straightened his posture, opened his notebook, and spoke. "Good morning, everyone. The project is on track. All deliverables have been completed on schedule. The team is ready for the next phase." He repeated the key points, making sure his voice flowed smoothly. He matched his sentences with rhythm, linking words naturally. The team nodded, typed messages of confirmation, and thanked him. Daniel exhaled slowly. His hands stopped trembling. His mouth remembered the training. His mind remembered, fear is temporary, skill is permanent. Brain the inner crisis. By noon, Daniel's mind started to wander. A small doubt crept in. What if I mess up on the afternoon presentation? What if I freeze in front of the marketing team? What if my English isn't good enough? He felt the tension rise in his chest. His stomach tightened. His breath shortened. He closed his eyes, remembered yesterday's lessons, and whispered, "Fear is normal. I will move anyway." And then he remembered something else. Fluency is built by repeating action, not by avoiding fear. Memo the preparation. Daniel spent 15 minutes before the presentation, practicing quietly in the corner of the office. Mirror technique. Shadow speaking. Fluency loops. Sound clusters. He recorded his voice on his phone. Listened, corrected, repeated. By the end, his mouth felt ready. His tongue felt flexible. His jaw felt loose. His voice felt alive. And most importantly, his fear had been acknowledged, but it no longer controlled him. Briefcase the afternoon presentation. At 2:45 p.m., Daniel stood in front of the marketing team. Laptop connected, slides ready. Colleagues watching, eyes curious. The room was silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Daniel took a deep breath and spoke. "Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I will share the latest results of our campaign. We achieved a 12% increase in engagement. The next steps are..." The words came easily, linked naturally, flowing like music. He noticed something magical. His mouth and brain were in sync. He continued, confident, clear, smooth. No hesitation, no unnecessary pauses. No fear stopping him. When the presentation ended, applause filled the room. Daniel smiled quietly. He had done it again. Under pressure, with fear at the edge of his mind. But he had spoken anyway. Counterclockwise arrows button, the lesson of repeated victories. Walking back to his desk, Daniel realized something profound. Fluency is not one moment of success. Fluency is a chain of small victories. Each conversation, each email, each call, each presentation. Fear may appear. Pressure may rise. But action beats hesitation. He wrote in his notebook, "Consistency is victory. Repetition is freedom." Crescent moon, the night of reflection. That evening, Daniel returned home. He poured a cup of tea, sat by the window, watching Riverford's lights flicker. He thought about today. The London call. The video presentation. The CEO briefing. Every moment he had feared. Every moment he had overcome. He realized the truth. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is courage. Fluency is persistence. He practiced 10 minutes in front of the mirror. He repeated sentences aloud. He shadowed clips of native speakers. He trained his mouth. He trained his mind. By the end, he felt exhausted, but alive. And finally, he whispered, "I am not afraid anymore. I am growing, I am fluent." Fire the secret that changed everything. Daniel understood a key secret. Fear is inevitable. Skill is earned. Consistency beats panic. Training beats hesitation. Courage is action, not absence of fear. He smiled at his reflection. The boy who once froze before speaking was gone. In his place stood a man who could face fear and speak anyway. And he knew tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fears, new battles. But he also knew he was ready. He had the tools. He had the practice. Fluency was no longer a dream. It was becoming reality. And Daniel Reyes was no longer a student of English. He was becoming a master of his own voice, Riverford City was quiet that evening. The sky glowed pink and orange as the sun set. Daniel Reyes sat on his balcony, looking over the streets he had walked hundreds of times. Today was different. Today he felt something he hadn't felt before: peace. The battles were not over. There would always be meetings, calls, deadlines, and fear. But he had learned the most important lesson of all. He could face fear and move forward anyway. Trophy: the final challenge. The next morning brought the last test. His manager, Claire, approached him. "Daniel, the International Board wants a short speech about your project. It's in English, and it's today at 11 a.m. Are you ready?" Daniel felt the familiar tension in his chest. But instead of panic, he smiled. "Yes, I am ready." He knew that he had trained for this. Not just with books. Not just with videos. He had trained his mouth, his mind, and his courage. Microphone: the board meeting. At 11 a.m., Daniel entered the boardroom. The room was full of executives from 5 different countries. He could feel their eyes on him, their expectations, their judgments. For a moment, his old fear tried to return. But he remembered all the lessons. Mirror technique: know your voice. Shadow speaking: match flow and rhythm. Fluency loops: train speed and clarity. Sound clusters: speak smoothly like a native. Emotion and courage: speak with heart. He took a deep breath and spoke. "Good morning, everyone. I am happy to present our project updates. The campaign has reached its targets. The team has worked hard to improve efficiency. We are ready for the next steps, and we are confident in the results." Link: the power of flow. As he spoke, Daniel felt his words connecting naturally. He did not pause unnecessarily. He did not translate in his mind. He did not fear mistakes. The sentences flowed like music. The executives nodded, smiled, and asked questions. Daniel answered clearly, confidently, smoothly. For the first time he realized English was not a subject to learn. English was a tool to express his thoughts, his ideas, and his emotions. Light bulb: the lesson of true fluency. When the meeting ended, Daniel walked out of the room with a smile. Not because he had impressed anyone. Not because he had perfect English. But because he had conquered himself. He had learned the truth every English learner needs to hear. Fluency is not perfect grammar. Fluency is not a native accent. Fluency is courage, persistence, and repetition. Fluency is moving forward even when you are afraid. Milky Way: the night of victory. That evening, Daniel returned home. He poured tea, sat by the window, and reflected. The boy who once froze when speaking English had grown into a man who could speak with confidence, emotion, and clarity. He had trained his mouth. He had trained his mind. He had trained his courage. And he knew something important. This was only the beginning. Fluency is not a finish line. It is a journey. It is daily action, daily courage, daily practice. It is the small victories every single day. Glowing star: the message to every learner. Daniel opened his notebook and wrote, "Do not wait for perfect time. Do not wait to be perfect. Do not wait to feel ready. Start now. Train every day. Repeat, speak, flow. Face your fear. Your voice is yours. Your English is yours. Your dream is yours. Fluency begins when fear ends." He closed his notebook, smiled at his reflection in the window, and whispered, "I am no longer afraid. I am a speaker. I am fluent. I am me." Rainbow: the final truth. Fluency is not about words or grammar. It is about courage, repetition, and movement. It is about training your mouth, your mind, and your heart. It is about saying the first word today, even if you feel small, nervous, or scared. And this is your moment, your chance to train, your chance to speak, your chance to finally end the silence. Take a deep breath. Move your lips. Speak your first sentence, then the second, then the third. Fluency is built brick by brick, word by word, sentence by sentence. And when you persist, when you repeat, when you refuse to stay silent, the world will hear you. Your voice will be strong. Your English will flow. Your confidence will shine. And you, like Daniel Reyes, will know. You are fluent, you are powerful, you are unstoppable.